We have almost 70 new pre-order screenshots, so I spent the last few days analyzing them and picking out the best stuff you probably missed. So let's get straight into it. First one's interesting because of the lighting on this building. If you remember that screenshot of Jason on the roof of a building, this behind him is that exact building. Which means Lucia's on the balcony of one of these buildings here. You can also see more nail customization here. And what got me is she's dipping her hair in a martini. It's probably just some visual bug. Next we get Jason and Lucia driving down Vice Beach. And the first cool detail is that they've got a bag full of cash on the back seats. Like they just came from some huge heist. Another detail, you can actually see a pretty detailed reflection of the motorcycle in the window. And Rockstar added a realistic push button on the doors, which old cars like this one used to have. And then the license plate says the OVH, which stands for Ocean View Hotel. And here's the money bag again, and we can see these guns with a Tommy Vercetti short skin on them. What's interesting though is this actually answers the question of how weapon handling in cars is going to work. It looks like characters will drop their weapons on the back seat, and there's probably some animation for grabbing them again when it's time to shoot. Also worth noting, the guns seem to have different firing modes. And knowing how detailed Rockstar is, I bet there's an animation for switching between them too. Next screenshot, if we zoom in here, there's a sign that says Sahara, which in the GTA 6 universe is the Amazon equivalent. We've already seen the Sahara arena in older screenshots. We can also see Lucia has visible freckles on her legs. And this car looks like a Ferrari 250 GTO, which I think is the Grotistinger GT. Lucia's black and gold revolver looks like a modified Colt Python with VC engraved on it for Vice City. And this is probably the first screenshot where we see Lucia using proper trigger discipline with her finger off the trigger. And here you can see Lucia's outfit features the Mount Chiliad eye on the sun. Rockstar is teasing us again. Next up, we've got a screenshot in front of a tattoo shop, probably around the stockyard area. One interesting detail is the motorcycles actually have kickstands now, which they didn't have in GTA 5. But what really got me here is how detailed the ground is. You can see trash, cigarette stubs, and if we move a bit to the right, there's flattened, blackened chewing gum everywhere, some paper scraps, and even leaves from the trees and palms. So it's pretty likely the wind will actually push all these little things around. On this poster here, in small text, it says, "Your fate is in our hands, you can trust us." And one last thing worth mentioning is this mirror reflection from the tattoo shop. And that brings us to the next screenshot, where we can see the tattoo artist, and we can tell she is clearly a redhead. You can tell from the freckles on her arms and neck, and she's got deep blue eyes. Lucia has completely short hair here, and you can see she has a small scar on her forehead. Her skin looks incredibly detailed, and you can see freckles on her legs are on the other side too. The shoes Lucia's wearing are from a brand called Iris, which looks like a parody of Nike Air Jordan 1s. In this box here, we got disposable latex gloves, and this detail really shows how far Rockstar went with in-game text on products. And we can also see Lucia has an iFruit phone, an older model based on the real iPhone XS from 2018. So it's hard to say exactly what year the game takes place in. In the next screenshot, the lighting really stands out. It looks genuinely realistic. Jason looks pretty serious here, and for the first time we can see he's got slightly longer facial hair that even grows down his neck. So I guess we can officially make Jason look like the ultimate neckbeard in the game. Now, one small detail about this tattoo shop. It's actually run by an artist collective called Fail, which is a real-world brand. And the bird sitting on the Roman numeral 2 is a reference to RDR2. It's when Arthur appears as a bird, watching John build his house. Then we've got Jason with his back tattooed, and the tattoo says Finis, which is Latin for death, but this is just a random tattoo from the Ultimate Edition, so I don't think it's actually a story reference. Next screenshot, we've got Vice City graffiti with the alligator Maca, who's supposed to be a mascot from a TV show, and these are basically iconic for GTA at this point. And you can see that in different lighting, Jason's body hair actually goes almost black. And in case you are wondering what's happening behind Jason and Lucia, that's a drainage canal and there's a boat going through it. Next screenshot, we've got a residence from the Pegasi brand, which is the parody of Lamborghini. So we can probably expect separate showrooms where each brand has its own dedicated space, instead of everything being mixed together, which would honestly be really cool to see. And on these balconies, we've got one of the best looks yet at window reflections and the parallax effect that's apparently going to be on all the glass and windows in the game. And the GTEC 95 is probably a tribute to when the first GTA game started its development. In the next screenshot, if we zoom in, we can see Jason sitting inside, and it looks like this area is right next to Vice City downtown, like it's part of the same district as the Sin Frontier National Bank we saw in the older clip. Another insane detail showing just how far ahead Rockstar is. There's a curved palm tree reflection on this part of the hood. I genuinely don't understand how they are pulling this off. In the next image we get a few buildings, and on the left it looks like we get something like Ekio Hotel. Then there's another one that says Grand, probably a hotel, but honestly the logo design looks like it could be some kind of big casino. And I really hope that's true, because after Diamond Casino, that's become an essential part of GTA for many players. We can also see this GTA Classic mode will have a top speed of 140 miles per hour. Next we've got adjustable seat pedals, which we've seen in leaks before. And in previous videos we talked about how these animations will probably change depending on the size of the character. Here we've got a close-up shot of a switchblade. We haven't seen many melee weapons yet, so this is definitely going to be one of them. The knife's resting on a stack of $20 bills. But notice what's cut into the middle of them. There's a bobcat die pack, tucked inside with dye, and the text literally warns, "Handle with care, explosive." This is an incredible detail. It suggests that in GTA 6, we will be dealing with this kind of sophisticated money security during heists, and some bills will actually be marked. We also get a look at a new ammo brand called Stronghold Ammunition. And again, interesting detail, both revolvers have release dates of all GTA Vice City games engraved on them. Now, this next screenshot honestly gives off a bit too much GTA Online vibe for me, but the car in it is a Canis, which is the parody of real Jeep. And what's interesting is it's got a winch mechanism, which we can see in more detail here too. We talked about this in previous videos, how it will probably work for towing objects or getting yourself unstuck in muddy areas. One more interesting thing, the tires actually say all-terrain, which suggests it's not just about grabbing a supercar and driving off-road with them like in GTA 5. We will probably need specially tuned and modified tires and vehicles if we want to drive through mud or up in the mountains. Here's an interesting detail. The license plate doesn't say Leonida, like all the others we've seen so far. It says Gloriana, which is Georgia in the GTA universe. So maybe Rockstar is teasing something. Next we get a super detailed look inside an entire auto shop. And what caught my eye is a deer head on the wall, which could mean interior customization will include trophies like this. So maybe we will be able to turn whatever we hunt into trophies and put them onto the wall in our mansion, like an alligator for example. This logo here we've actually seen before in a few bars around Leonida in Trailer 2. Looks like some kind of logging company branding. Another great detail is the rope physics. It's just hanging here, but look how realistic and detailed the ropes look. We can also see a handheld flashlight here, which will probably be a usable item during night heists or similar missions. And the floor detail again is just insane, like a real auto body shop. This one gives me online vibes again, kind of like one of those colorful Fortnite style skins. Feels like I'm looking at a Buzz Lightyear here. But anyway, this confirms weapon customization like this will be possible too, if you are into the Toy Story look. Also, you can see this guy got a girl tattooed on him with the text dump truck. And that's the girl from the social media teaser in trailer 1. Another interesting detail, these NPCs have their legs crossed. It feels almost like Rockstar's flexing their NPC animation patents. And this guy is wearing the exact same jewelry as a guy from older screenshots, so there's a good chance it's actually the same character. Here we can see a painted gun that says PTT, which is the name of that gang. Plus it says your name in blood, which probably shows this gang doesn't mess around. In this screenshot we've got an Albany, which in real life is a Cadillac, and we can see what it looked like before and after customization in the shop. We can also see them using a car lift and NPCs using a realistic rolling creeper. Another cool detail are these wet floor signs, which look like something we will see around the map while NPCs are doing their routines, mopping floors and stuff like that. Then this car is a Karen Esterop, the real-life parody of Toyota. Now we've got Jason's house from an angle we haven't seen it before. First thing that caught my eye, Jason's house has boat parking, so we can go straight out onto the water to go fishing or whatever, right from his house. This is also one of our most detailed looks yet at these little islands scattered across the map, especially in the Leonida Keys, where we will probably find treasures, collectibles and stuff like that. In the water we can see a marker boy. And as we talked about in previous videos, Rockstar is putting a huge amount of effort into structured water traffic. These boys aren't there just for decoration. They actually mark out the area we will be moving through, showing us where the water gets too shallow and where it's safe so we don't get the boat stuck. We can also see Jason's house has a table and chairs set up underneath, with a dock right next to it. There are two sets of stairs, one here and another on the other side at the back, leading to a terrace. Probably with the same door we saw in the living room. We can also see a tall communication tower, and since we are in Leonida Keys, the only one that makes sense to me is the one we can see in this screenshot. And one more interesting detail, in trailer 2 we saw Jason fixing the roof, but here it looks like the tarp is gone and it's already repaired. So we can expect to see these kinds of changes to buildings over time during the story. Here's a detailed look at the fluid simulation and water in the game. We can see water splashing and droplets flying through the air. And honestly, this is one of my favorite screenshots. I can't wait to play this game, man. Just look at the sun and those little islands ahead of us, waiting to be explored. This brand we've seen before, Crest Kayaks. And if we look to the left, we can see a seagull taking off and fishing girls just laying there. And the first half of the text on that building says Key Lanto, which thanks to the mapping project we know is a location in Leonidakis. And here we can see that Sahara Arena sign we mentioned earlier, which tells us this screenshot was taken somewhere around that area. And we can also see another navigation marker to mark dangerous spots for boats. And here we can see birds actually leave droppings on boats, so it looks like we will be heading to the car wash a lot more than we thought in this game. Honestly, a really funny detail. We can also see the boat has a cooler box, so we will probably be able to store beer, soda or whatever for when we get thirsty.
Oh yeah.
Makes me wonder if dolphins are actually going to interact with us like that. Maybe we will even be able to grab a fish we caught from that cooler box and toss it to them. This is also our first closer look at standalone diving gear. Before we would only see it briefly underwater. I'm not expert on this stuff, but it looks incredibly detailed. There's even a secondary mouthpiece for emergencies. Here we can see water physics in action again. Each engine leaves a different wake, since Jason and Lucia's boat has one engine and Police boat has two. Also notice how the helicopter's blades create a realistic circle on the water surface. The Police boat is from a brand called Lure Predator, which we've already seen before in Leonidakis. What's important here is this is probably the most detailed look yet at how police pursuits on water are going to work. They will chase and surround us with boats, while helicopters help out from above. And that helicopter, by the way, is a buzzard, which we are seeing on police for the first time. We can see Jason aiming at an officer on the boat, and the officer is aiming right back at him, but neither one's actually shooting. So it looks like NPCs are going to behave similarly to RDR2, giving us a chance to surrender or talk to us before they open fire. And one more thing I noticed is that diving gear we mentioned earlier looks like it's going to be at a fixed spot on the boat where we can always go to gear up. Here we can see this shop has the number 305 on it, which the cover art girl also has tattooed on her arm. And that number is the actual area code for Florida and Miami. And based on this sticker we can confirm that this shop is at the Stockard location. Another cool thing, Rockstar snuck in an Easter egg. In this screenshot, Jason actually looks almost exactly like James Crockett from the movie Miami Vice. And what caught my eye here is how realistic this gravel looks, along with the shadow from the fence. If someone showed me this without telling me it was from a game, I will genuinely think it was a real photo. And here Rockstar's poking fun at apology culture. Say sorry be wise, instead of nice. Now here we get this 6-7 Dominator, and this is honestly one of the most insane screenshots we've seen so far, because it genuinely looks better than most racing games. Look at how the wheels are kicking up mud behind them. Also something almost nobody's talking about. This is actually a look at how weather looks when it rains, which is something we didn't see much of before. Everything is hazy and foggy, and we can also see the cars actually have windshield wiper animations when it's raining. And we can see this car was customized at Women's Shop, located in Watson Bay, somewhere in Grass Rivers. And this screenshot was probably taken somewhere nearby. Now here we can see what looks like a lookout tower we haven't seen in any trailers yet. And there's an interesting detail here too. This sign suggests we are likely looking at functional automatic doors across shopping malls and garages, which will be a huge step for the game's immersion. Here you can see Veman, and you can tell his teeth are pretty cooked, but he's still happy, so it's all good. He's wearing a Red Bull Sun visor, which is the cigarette brand in the GTA universe. And he's got a Vapid tattoo on his shoulder, which is a parody of Ford in GTA. And we also get confirmation that tow trucks are in the game, which ties back into that winch mechanism. So if you park badly somewhere, there's a good chance your car gets towed, which is going to be absolutely hilarious. Imagine committing a robbery and getting your escape car towed because you parked in a bad spot. And this sticker on this red car reads Deck Souped. Now this shot was taken in front of the Ocean View Hotel, and these outfits are clearly inspired by Scarface and Miami Vice. And this location is somewhere across from the harbor we saw in the trailer, so it's probably on Fisher Island. Here we get a look at what it looks like in Vice City when it's foggy. And here Jason's gun has Sua Sponte engraved on it, meaning of one's own accord, which is the motto of Army Rangers. So this is probably a reference of his military background. Also Lucia's pistol might be a reference to Kay Rose from San Andreas. We also get a key card here that says International Hotels Vice City, which might be teasing that we will have a fully explorable hotels in the game. And if you remember, in older screenshots we saw bills with presidents printed on them. So here we got a closer look, and this one shows a president named Hardin. And to wrap things up, we get this short clip of Jason and Lucia. And you can tell pose in this clip is a reference to their first artwork from trailer 1. And the location here is the coastline near Washington Beach. The only two details worth mentioning are Jason's hair realistically moving in the wind and a new look at how realistic the waves look along the coast. If you made it all the way to the end, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one, boys.